Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to today's stream. Uh, hey, hi, hey. So, I decided to do, one sec, something a bit different today. Um, I decided that I wanted to kind of look at the Game Awards that was yesterday, kind of give my thoughts on it. Partially to share that they happened with you guys, but the other part is kind of so in the future I can look back on this and kind of have a record of like my thoughts on the Game Awards. And yeah, so we're doing that. So without further ado, shall we start? So the Game Awards were last night. If you don't know, they are a award show hosted by Jeff Keighley, and his whole thing basically is he really likes games, and you know that's awesome. And so this is kind of the Oscars for games. In the same breath, they kind of, as the Oscars for games, can be biased. So certain games may win certain categories, and everyone's like, "What the heck? Why?" And other ones deserve their wins. So before that, let's take a quick look at the jury. So the jury is basically made up of all of these different gaming like website slash reporters and stuff like that. And these are like, so for instance, Brazil, I guess Joven Nerd is one of the biggest reporters. Canada, The Gamer, never heard of them. CBC, one of our biggest newscast agencies. Global was up there as well. So this is kind of, it is interesting though. Some of these I am seeing for the first time. So Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, all that stuff. France, Germany, Greece, all that stuff. It is interesting because this means that technically it's more inclusive. However, at the same time, I mean, you see certain countries getting much more, I guess, jury. So I'm guessing that means much more votes. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into it, I guess. These are the winners. I think it starts with Game of the Year awards, so keep that in mind. Alright, so Game of the Year. So the nominations were Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And the winner was It Takes Two by Hazelight Studios. I personally, from what I've seen of these games, because I haven't been able to play most of these games, I personally agree with this one that It Takes Two takes it. Puns. The reason why is because I found It Takes Two to be not only an absolutely phenomenal couch co-op game, something that is very rare in this industry. It was also that It Takes Two was a beautiful story of a husband and wife that were struggling in their marriage and were looking on the brinks of divorce, going back and finding what they loved about each other and things that misconceptions that they had about each other and what that did to their relationship, and trying to be honest to themselves and be honest to each other and own up to what they do. And it was a beautiful, wonderful story. Visuals were amazing. Sound design was amazing. You may have seen a lot of YouTubers collab and do this. It's a wonderful, beautiful game. Not to say these other games are to be beat out. Deathloop was a really, really cool looking game, visually, aesthetically. It's it's one of those games that's it's interesting, right? Because people didn't buy it up to the point because It was that game that everyone was like, God damn, why? Deathloop again and again and again. At every E3, Xbox, PlayStation conference, Deathloop would just show up, and it's just like, oh, great. So out of this 40-minute conference, we've got 20 minutes of it's taken up by Deathloop. Oh, great. That's awesome. Um, but it did come out. It played well, played great. People really enjoyed it. I haven't given it a go myself. I get a little stressed to those types of games, but I might give it a go in the future. Metroid Dread. This is a game that I personally wouldn't be playing. I'm not the biggest on old school Metroidvanias. Funnily enough, one of the few Metroidvanias I like, a lot of people don't like, is actually not even a Metroidvania. It's Castlevania, Lord of Shadows, which they basically is like, hey, let's take Castlevania, one of the original Metroidvanias, and then turn it into a first person, like a first person action game. So yeah, or a third person action game. Yeah, like God of War. However, for people who do enjoy this game, it is actually visibly really really awesome. For a lot of people, this has been another revamp of the love of Metrovanias and could lead to a lot of awesome changes and more Metrovanias in the future for people. Psychonauts 2, based off the cult classic Psychonauts. It's pretty, I mean, again, visually, it is out of this world. The actual, like, every different level is almost completely different in its tone, its look. But he also touches on some very dark kind of notes and storylines for people. It's for people who love the original Psychonauts. I've heard it's amazing. I've never played the original, so I'm not really invested in playing the second. Uh, but visually, it looked really cool. Seems similar kind of gameplay to Banjo Kazooie, to those kind of like hmm, yeah, it's a platformer, right? It's a platformer with some light fighting in it. So I guess technically it'd be closer to Sly Cooper or Mario. Uh, but in and of itself, it's this really its own thing. Ratchet and Clank. This was another really really good one. Um, it was a Pixar film. I mean, we've come to this point that Ratchet and Clank, through and through, looked like a Pixar film. Visually, it was stellar, incredible. Sound design was great, effects were great, all that stuff. One thing that I feel probably lost people in Ratchet and Clank was actually something that, in some sense, helped It Takes Two. So It Takes Two, when it came out, if you bought it, you actually can give a friend of yours a free copy so that you can play together. And that's something that It Takes Two has been working, or no, Hazelight Studios have been working on for a while. Their bread and butter is co-op games. So you buy one copy, and then you can play with your best friend, your brother, your sister, your spouse. Awesome. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, despite being an awesome game, is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. So if you're one of those lucky 100 people in the world to have a PlayStation 5, great! Have fun playing Ratchet and Clank. Awesome game. Most people don't. So I feel that's probably part of the reason why it's so low. Also, I feel typically Game of the Year goes to a game that has a ton of really, really awesome gameplay and content to it, but the big thing is storylines, which is why I think the big surprise, or I feel honestly when I was looking at this, the top two were going to be It Takes Two and Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil Village came out at the beginning of the year. Just just again, amazing job on the Resident Evil series, Resident Evil franchise. Coming off of 7 Biohazard was stellar job. There was a lot of really awesome ties from Biohazard. There was also some really cool stuff that came from, or story beats, I guess, that were based off 4, which is what a lot of people who've played through all the Resident Evil games kind of have come to terms with as being the best Resident Evil game, or the big one that really cemented the Resident Evil formula. And we're gonna get a remake here, I think, soon. We got the VR one recently. However, this game, it was really cool. Visually, it was awesome. Story beats were awesome. I wasn't the biggest fan of the ending, but you know. Either way, otherwise, it's I don't know. I honestly think the story of It Takes Two won out. It's just so heartfelt, so real. It was wonderful. All right. So let's move on to the next category then. Next category is best game direction. So basically all the same people from the Game of the Year, except for Returnal, which was interesting. So Returnal was the kind of first third-person roguelike shooter game, mystery game fighting aliens. Visually really interesting. I haven't played myself, but from what I've heard, that did make things a little rough for people is the inability to save. And I think that's probably what killed this game from being something that people just can pick up and play for a little bit and go. For instance, Hades is exactly that. Is that you can pick up and just play a few rounds of Hades, and like even if you're mid run and you need to like, oh shoot, this run's going a bit longer than I thought, but it's a good run. You can save. You can quit out. You're good. You're fine. You're able to continue on your day. Returnal, you can't, and when you sit down, you have to commit to sometimes, depending on how good or how far you've gotten, a 2.5 hour run, which is a big commitment in time. So that's definitely a tough one, and also it's tough when you die after that type of run, and then you kind of like, oh great, I got to do it again. So best game direction is outstanding creative vision, innovative game direction, and design. So, I mean, sorry, just eating some fruits. I voted for It Takes Two myself. Deathloop. Basically, I can see where Deathloop is really cool because it's, in some ways, it's a multi-stage puzzle. However, in other sense, there's really only one path. And that's the thing that some people were very bummed by, was that the actual game would basically handhold you through the story. So, which actually is really good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just when you go through that beat, it basically is like, so this is how you do the ending. And there's probably a lot more viability you can do, different ways you can kill people, but I found people were saying there was kind of just the one that they did and then they were done. Whereas what the trailers led you on to believe is that you can kill literally anyone in any order, and then it sets a ton of chain reactions off. Seems like that was a little bit more limited. It Takes Two, honestly, I think probably should have won it because every time, every level, you and your partner, your co-op partner, have two relatively different abilities from the stage before, the stage after, and from each other, but they both cooperate on each other. So, for instance, in one level, your powers are a hammer and nails, and so nails can be used to shoot targets, but also create platforms for the person with the hammer. The person with the hammer can do certain powerful strikes that help with other platforming for the other person. And then another round, one person has a gun with resin and one has a blowtorch. And the gun with resin can stop and hold things, but it can also, when combined with the flamethrower, can actually explode. So I feel It Takes Two could have had it. Returnal, the reason I feel like direction design, at least in the innovation part, is it did highly go to the idea of the adaptive triggers. The fact that on a PlayStation 5 controller like this, they've got the adaptive triggers in here. And so you would press a little bit down and then you'd feel resistance. And so that'd be your primary fire. And then you'd have to push a little bit more to get to the second um, trigger strength, and then that would be your alternate fire, which is super interesting to have both your primary and alternate fires be on the same trigger, but be on a actual press, right? Also, beyond that, that it was enough of a resistance that you wouldn't accidentally go secondary fire when you're meeting your primary fire, just uh, in the moment. Psychonauts, a lot of really cool stuff they did there. Um, Innovation, not nothing I saw, but I haven't played that game, so it could have been really cool stuff. Ratchet and Clank innovation here would, I mean, yeah, they use the adaptive triggers, but and I think less so than Returnal. I think the big thing for Ratchet and Clank was probably their use of the Portal tech, right? The Portal tech. So the SSD on the PlayStation, their big seller was Ratchet and Clank. And the big reason for that is you could actually change to huge levels very quickly. There was a slight delay, but it was faster than we have ever seen, and you can actually see through into the other worlds and things like that. Honestly, was stellar. There was one level, I think the mining level, that visually was one of the most impressive. All right, that's best game direction. Let's see, narrative, um, outstanding storytelling and development in game. Psychonauts was cool. Again, depression, a lot of those heartfelt stories. I voted for It Takes Two again. I felt that story was really awesome and amazing. Deathloop, interesting story, interesting kind of way it goes about telling it, and very unique in gameplay sense. Life is Strange, True Colors. Haven't played, never played any of the Life is Strange games. Never really had an interest in them. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I think partially this game's here because it's fresh in everyone's minds. But I also think the other thing is this game actually did a really awesome thing. It reinvigorated interest in a new version of the Guardians of the Galaxy versus our kind of PC movie Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, and had a bit more like wild and interesting story. And this is the thing is when you put time in putting together a Marvel game, if you do something like this and not only make the gameplay feel great, though the advertisement was really not great for this game. People really weren't thrilled on it, and then they played it and they were like, oh. Like I've seen a few streamers who were at the beginning when they first saw the trailers were like, this game is gonna be garbage. It's gonna break. This is gonna be horrible. And then end up playing it and be like, okay, I'm playing it on my own time. This game's a lot of fun. The only issue is streamer mode. So streamer mode has a huge what's it called? Watermark, just kind of where it would be at the top of the screen here, all time on the gameplay. And yeah, so just would be around this section here the whole time during, almost the whole time during gameplay, because it would just let you know that it's working and you're not able to hear copyright music. People have played it with and without, and with is a huge difference. The copyright music definitely adds a lot of tone and excitement to levels. But narrative design was meant to be stellar. I haven't fully watched it all. I'm watching a stream, another streamer have their playthrough of it, and it seems really, really awesome and very interesting. So, yeah, dialogue, characters, awesome, awesome, awesome. So, deserved, but I still think It Takes Two should have had it. Next one, best art direction. Outstanding creative or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. I definitely, again, is good, but I mean, I feel like it's been done before. The Artful Escape visually was really cool. I haven't seen too much otherwise of it. Visually, Psychonauts was cool. Visually, Ratchet Clank was a Pixar film. Kenya, that's what I voted for because from as far as I've seen, this is legitimately a Pixar film from start to finish. So I don't agree with this one, but I can see why I got it. Best score and music. Music. I voted for Nier myself because Nier Automata had one of the best soundtracks I've ever had in a game. Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm assuming part of this is because it's a real bummer if you're playing on streamer mode and you lose out. Deathloop, musical score never really hit me. Cyberpunk, same idea. I mean, it's what are you going to compliment a GTA game for having a good music score? Not really. The Artful Escape, haven't heard much of the music, but I feel that could have been a really good one too. So, honestly, I feel like it was going to be between The Artful Escape and Nier if it was purely just on original score and stuff. But it makes sense that Nier won it because Nier music is just insane. Best audio design. Um, Recognizing best in-game audio and sound design. I hate whenever a game like this wins it. The engines go, but this one you go, like, really? I mean, yes, you guys put a like. I'm not discounting the effort that Playground Games and them have put into Forza. They are immaculately beautiful games, and they do put a lot of time into them. But they also don't because they come out really, really often, and not a lot of their cars have to change. And it's just, hey, pretty car, do car noise. So if you're an enthusiast on car noises, yeah, sure, it's great. But honestly, when it comes to sound design, I personally felt that Ratchet and Clank and Resident Evil Village had it because this, I mean, the ability sounded really interesting in this one. The gun sounded interesting in Returnal, but every single gun in Ratchet and Clank had that sound element that really sold it. Like every gun, the sound sold the power. I voted for Resident Evil myself. I feel sound design, the big part of sound design is mood. And Resident Evil's mood is huge on sound design, just like the sound of crackling leaves or the whoosh of wind and stuff like that. It's just so perfectly overlapped to create these senses of tension and mystery and fear. So that was my sense on it. But performance. So one, first off, before anything else, I'm glad this is a thing. Actors in video games are actors. Full stop. They're not worth more or less than movie actors. They are actors. They are amazing. I've seen some of the best performances I've ever seen in video games. I've seen performances in video games that crush many performances in TV shows and things like that. And so I'm assuming, for the most part, every single one of these actors did a great job in their performances. Erica Mori as Alexa Chen in Life is Strange probably did a great job. It's especially tough when you're doing a character that a huge part of the game is around, if not the whole game. Um, this is interesting. I thought this was going to win. I thought Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo. Man, I may have butchered that hard. From Far Cry 6, the villain from Far Cry 6. I thought he was probably going to win. I've heard his performance was stellar on that. Jason Kelly as Colt Van and Ozilma Aga as Juliana Blake. Both of these amazing voice actors, really good job. I mean, like honestly, like both of them were, like, from what I've seen, great. Like the actual quick change of moods and voice and inflection, beautiful, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Um, I think where they may have lost out is character presence and face, and that's something I feel is a little bit of a benefit towards mocap actors. So, for instance, like Mads Mikkelsen and his performance, and all of his other co-stars in Death Stranding, for instance, right? Death Stranding, immaculate in a game, walking simulator, but the acting was A tier, and part of it was facial capture, capturing the actual reactions of the actors. God of War with Kratos did something very, very similar, and part of it is showing the emotion on Kratos' face and his body. Um, Maggie Robertson as Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village. It was a phenomenal performance, I'm not gonna lie, but if I'm gonna guess, I'm gonna have to guess it was probably a huge part also due to the meme. I'm gonna guess it was a huge part due to the meme of big mommy milkers. Um, but again, any one of these people could have taken it. Games for impact. So, for thought-provoking game with pro-social meaning or message. I have actually not played most of these games. I personally voted for Before Your Eyes because I have seen parts of that game, and it is really, really cool. It's basically a tale of life and death. Um, I'm sure No Longer Home is heartfelt. Again, again, I can't really say anything about Life is Strange because I haven't played it. But part of the reason I haven't played is because again the stories haven't really gripped me, so I don't know how much impact this has per se, or if it's just getting it because it's this. Not to say it's not a good game and it doesn't have impact. I'm just saying compared to the other ones, it might not. This I thought was interesting on here. Never heard anything about it. Sounds interesting title, but impact. I'm curious. Um, Best ongoing game. This to me was pretty obvious. So this is a game for outstanding development over time. Apex Legends. They're doing a good job adding new guns, new characters, all that stuff, but people are kind of like, yeah. Fortnite. It's Fortnite. They add new characters and they've got story. It's Fortnite. It's Fortnite. Genshin Impact. Honestly, really, really like its Genshin Impact. I played basically all the main story when it first came out, and I did enjoy it. But then they stopped content, and then season two, and basically my issue with Genshin Impact is the grind. I think the grind is what's really tough about Genshin Impact. I don't mind like going to dungeons to get special resources to make your weapon stronger or your character stronger a little bit, but the fact that it requires you so much grind to do it, and that there's like character, and then like I don't even really mind too much about the gacha system. It's not the greatest. I don't like it the most because it kind of sucks that you can't play your favorite characters. But I get it. But I just wish they would make it a little bit easier to level and make your characters that you do have stronger, rather than, oh well, if I had a level 20 this guy, he's a lot stronger than my level 30 of this guy because of the A and S tiers. Call of Duty Warzone, it's Call of Duty. I don't know how much support they get. This is well deserved. This game has been running for ages and ages and ages, and probably has the largest player base of ongoing games in the world, especially since Endwalker just finished, and what was the new one? Either way, they came out with a new expansion. It's massive. People love it, and there's a lot of people waiting in servers. But this game just keeps on going. Next category: best indie game. I voted for Kenya because I was like surprised that it was a indie game. However, I feel basically all of these could have won it. The only one I haven't seen seen anything of is Loop Hero. Seems interesting though. This was interesting in the description. Very interesting design to story design to basically have a like closed room, like escape room kind of thing, but a card game. But you pull out your teeth, and really, really interesting. It's like meant to be playing game with the devil. Death's Door, visual really, really cool. Interesting design, kind of almost God view, 3D view, Dark Souls. Really interesting looking. People love that. 12 minutes. I don't want to play it. I don't want to get depressed because I feel this game's depressing, or would be depressing. But the fact that they can repeat and have this top-down look and tell an amazing story is really crazy and really, really cool. But all of these, honestly, not only these five, but everyone in this category, and this actually holds true for everyone, do deserve to be there. But I feel every single indie game really deserves to be there. They put a lot of effort into these games, and some of them are absolutely phenomenal, and most of them are really good too, if they're not phenomenal. Best mobile game. Yeah, I agree on this one. So this one I've never heard about. This one, it's just League of Legends, but slightly easier. This is never heard of it. This is trying to steal money from your kids. It has no depth whatsoever, and I will say that easily because I played it for a good little bit, and I'm like, yes, no, this MOBA. After the fact that you're like, Pokemon, it doesn't go any further. This is just, despite what I said earlier about Genshin, the fact that it actually works on mobile game devices is insane. It's your Breath of the Wild on a phone. Like what else can you say, right? These games, like, not so much. And yeah, all these games include microtransactions and things like that. But the fact that you can play this game on a phone is ridiculous. Best community support. As far as I've heard, yeah, Final Fantasy VII takes it again. No Man's Sky, I keep always going, why is it still here? Because they're still working on it, great. They're making their promises back, but the community, I don't know how big it is right now. Fortnite support, is that a thing? I don't know. D2, hey, if you want community support, how about you don't sunset things? That would be some great community support. Appreciate it. Don't sunset things. Don't make it so I lose things. Also, could you bring back the initial storyline so that people actually can know what they're doing? And I digress. Apex, I don't know. The community support's a little bit tough to go into unless you're part of the communities. Next category is innovation accessibility. I also can't really speak on that. I don't know why that one, but again, I can't really speak on this. The only thing I can speak on is I did know Ratchet and Clank had a lot of controller and colorblind accessibility options, so that was really cool. Maybe they made Forza 5 be able to run on a toaster. Who knows? Maybe that's why it's accessible. I don't know. Accessibility is tough again. It's one of those things that's like, can you know how accessible a game is unless you have to use the accessibility options? Not really. Best VR AR. This makes sense. This makes a ton of sense. Um, Vaguely heard this game is good. I haven't heard too much. Wouldn't doubt that this is good. It's a Sniper Elite. This also is Hitman. I'm assuming both of these are good too. But this, as far as I've seen, has completely just really changed the game of VR. And I feel action horror like Resident Evil games is just the best VR styling. Just get spooked, have monsters up in your face, action. Like, I feel that game genre is best suited for VR. Um, but they did a really good port of it, and people really loved playing it. Action game. So Back 4 Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, Returnal. I would primarily focus on combat. I would say Returnal's probably got it, for sure. Returnal was just combat, and it was really interesting. I'd say Deathloop was probably a close second. Far Cry kind of loses for innovation because it's about the same game all the time, right? Chivalry 2. I mean, like, it's a game fully about combat, but I feel like I've played Chivalry 2, and it's a little bit jank. A little bit really jank. And the problem why I didn't play more of it is because classes, basically, like, the difference in levels of prestige on classes really changes your damage output by, like, a lot, which made it not fun if you were playing up against people much higher level than you. Back 4 Blood, I've heard it's good, but I've also heard it's basically, Left 4 Dead, too, but not as great, oddly enough. So that's a bummer. Best action adventure. Best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Honestly, any one of these could have won. Literally any one of these could have won. The combat in Marvel's actually turned out to be really stellar. This was a bit more platforming than combat but still really good. This is more shooting than platforming, but honestly, I feel puzzle solving is Resident Evil Village, but I feel Resident Evil puzzles are the hardest. I think for actual puzzle solving, it's probably going to be Metroid Dread. But again, any of those could have taken it. Best role playing. Tales of Rise. I've heard it's really good. I've also heard Shin Megami Tensei is good. I've heard Scarlet Nexus is good. I could have seen any of those three win. Monster Hunter Rise. I don't consider a role-playing game. I consider it a massively multiplayer game, and it's fun, but I don't see myself. I am my hunter. No, I don't say that. I'm like, nah. It's a hunter game. I'm more worried about the monsters than myself. And then Cyberpunk. I haven't talked about it or seen it or anything since they've tried to patch it all, but I think CD Projekt Red has burnt a lot of bridges on this one. It could have easily won it if they delivered on what they were envisioning in the beginning and what they were selling people on, but now not so much. Best fighting game. This totally makes sense. Guilty Gear Strive has completely crushed it. Demon Slayer visually looks really cool, but at the end of the day, it's essentially a CyberConnect Naruto Storm game, which I really enjoy those games. They're fun, but I wouldn't say they're really competitive fighting games. Melty Blood, I think could have gotten it as well. Virtual Fighter could have gotten it too, but I think it didn't just because it would have gotten it mainly for nostalgia. And I think Nicktoons All-Star is a bit too new. I think it's a bit too new. But this has constantly come out with support. and the fighting game community actually absolutely love it. So makes sense. Best family game. Um, Funnily enough, I actually voted for Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury on this one. Uh, this destroys families. This is taking pictures, so I guess it's more a kid's game. This isn't really a kid's game. This is something you can play with your kid, I feel. Uh, this, I felt, just because of the actual like plot and what they were actually going for, was not really a family game. I think it's more of an adult game that is in a family like styling. But I digress. It was really. I mean, if you want a family game of like a family of a spouse a relationship or a boyfriend girlfriend, 100%, 100%, 100%. But I wouldn't really bring my kid onto this one because it does talk about divorce and unhappiness and all that stuff. Next one is Sim Strategy. Um, yeah, I think it was going to go to Age of Empires or Humankind. Humankind, visually, I saw a lot of people really enjoyed it, really interesting style. Not my cup of tea. Age of Empires 4, I haven't played it yet, but I've played the old Age of Empires, so kind of same old, but still good. Evil Geniuses 2, I've heard that they've actually made certain parts of the game worse, and haven't improved on the first one as much as they probably could have. Microsoft Flight Simulator is a beautiful, stunning game if you like flying planes, like real. But I know, and most people, not everyone does, so kind of makes sense. Inscription, I don't know why it was here. Don't know. I guess because it's turn-based strategy, but a very different types of turn-based strategy than these two, right? Either way, I mean, technically any one of these could have won it. I just thought it would have been Humankind or Age of Empires. Sports racing. I think it should have been Riders Republic. Republic was actually really, really cool, really interesting, tons of different vehicles and stuff. Hot Wheels, haven't seen too much of it. I got to take a look a bit more of it, but I'm like, Forza, I mean, Forza always does a great job with their games. It's just Forza, right? Like, you've seen one, you've seen them all. It's not my cup of tea. That being said, I mean, FIFA's not also my cup of tea, but also FIFA is just a reskin of the other game, literally, just with more microtransactions. And then F1 games, I know people who like F1, so. Multiplayer. Again, for actual like co-op multiplayer, like two people, it takes two. Takes it. 100% for me. 100%. Honestly, I thought it was going to be probably Valheim here. Because a lot of people absolutely love Valheim with friends, and I totally understand that. New World, shit the bed. It was fun, and then it wasn't, because they artificially increased leveling, and it was not fun. It was, but then it wasn't. Monster Hunter Rise, I feel could have gotten it. They did a lot of good things to streamline playing the Monster Hunter games, and they were actually a lot of fun. And I've ever since World, I've really enjoyed playing the Monster Hunter games, the new ones at least. And that was fun, and it's a really fun multiplayer game, and it has a good multiplayer community. Knockout City, I mean, seems really cool. Seems like the gameplay is actually really fun, but don't know how big of a community it's got. Back 4 Blood, same kind of idea. Good, fun. Don't know how the community is, and also I heard the levels are a bit too long or a bit too weird for actual multiplayer, and then actually queuing up for multiplayer is a bit weird. So for co-op, 100% this one. For multiplayer, so more than 2 people, I would say Monster Hunter or Valheim would probably be the best ones. Content Creator of the Year. I can't really speak on this. I've just voted Dream because I know about Dream. I don't really know about the rest of these guys. So, yeah. But I'm sure all of them did some amazing stuff, amazing community streams, amazing charities, all that stuff. But I don't know. Best debut indie. Honestly, again, this is one of those categories that like literally it's like anyone could have gotten it. And any of the other 30 people that were down here that aren't in the top five could have easily gotten it. Visually, the Sable is really interesting. I wasn't tied to the story though. Valheim, really interesting that that was an debut indie. Forgotten City was meant to be really, really cool. Haven't got to too much of a look at it. This beautiful looking art style for being a start. But I think, and I voted Kenya. I feel Kenya got it because it's a debut indie and it looks like a Pixar film. Like what? Like what the effort and the work in this. I mean, not saying the other effort and work wasn't good. It's just look at it. Look at it. Crazy. Most anticipated game. Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't think anyone's talking about this one. Don't think anyone's talking about Starfield. I think everyone's talking about the game that's coming immediately after Starfield, being Elder Scrolls 6. Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I think a lot of people are excited for Breath of the Wild, but I don't know how much they are now because it's been a bit. It's not as right in our minds, and we don't have a release date. Horizon Forbidden West. Visually, actually, is really, really stunning. They came out with a recent gameplay trailer, um, which was in collaboration with an awesome combo dude on Twitter who plays games really, really, really cool. Um, what's the winner? Oh, the winner here is for most anticipated game. It's Elden Ring. Elden Ring won it, which makes sense. Elden Ring looks incredible, like no doubt, and I know people are going to sink years and years and years, and it's been the most anticipated game for people for a while. Forbidden West visually looks great. Sunhigh Legend, who's a really cool combo expert, helped make a new trailer. It looks phenomenal. I'm not that big on the story of Horizon. My vote was honestly on Elden Ring myself, because even though it's not most anticipated for me, because I don't personally play the Souls-like games, I am terrible at them. So yeah, but a lot of my friends really love it, and I know one of my friends is gonna have no life after this. A game comes out. Maybe two of my friends actually. But God of War Ragnarok would be my most anticipated game. Only thing that I'm so far bummed out of anything about this isn't. And I know some people are bummed about the directorial change. I'm not bummed by that. Corey did a phenomenal job on the first one, and yeah, he would have done a great job on the second. But he definitely deserved to have a little bit of a break on this. It takes a lot to do a game, develop a game, and also, you know, he highly deserved to actually spend time with his own son, right? He didn't get to do too much of that during the development of the first one. The only bummer that and thing I'm kind of muddling about for Ragnarok is that they've kind of confirmed that is the end of the Norse series for God of War, and I'm like, I think they could have done 3 games for the Norse mythology as well. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's because it just gives you assumptions, right? It gives you the assumption that you're going to fight Thor, that you're going to fight Odin, that you're going to fight the Fenrir, and all these things. And it's like, wow, this game's either going to be double the length of a normal God of War, or we're just going to have a lot of boss fights really quickly that might take away from their actual weight. But we'll see. But yeah, well deserved Elden Ring. Any of these could have won it, but Elden Ring was pretty obvious. Best esports game. Esports. It's gonna be League. Like that's the biggest thing. Otherwise, Valorant, Dota 2, Counter Strike, Call of Duty. I visually, as somebody who's not big on the esports, on these esports, the only one that I think is fun to watch anytime is League, and that's kind of only barely. and it's mostly just because of the cool animations they've got. But like esports are really cool, and I understand and really enjoy that people can play games at a high level and have a career off them. But honestly, I prefer fighting game tournaments to any of these. Just watching two fighting game at players at the top of their level playing games, insane. There was recently a Twitch tournament run in collaboration with Twitch and Maximilian Dude for Killer Instinct, called Killer Instinct Lives. That is so cool. The combos coming out, the plays, it's just so visually cool. Super fun. Best esports athlete. Yeah, play a game good. Good job. That's about it. Best esport team. You guys play good. Good job. To a degree, I miss playing at that kind of level, but it's toxic by nature. Yeah, well, it's the unfortunate part is not only is it toxic by nature, but it also trickles down. So, oh, well, I'm not good enough to get up into diamond, but I'm really good, so I'm gonna go into casuals and then shit on new players. Like, really? Really? So it's an issue that I found in one of the games I play, Smite, a lot. It's just playing casuals, and people are getting pissed off at the smallest thing and flaming people and be like, oh, we already lost because you suck. Da, 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 da. It's just not fun. It's not fun to play the game if you're getting yelled at for anything you do, even if you're doing things you're meant to be doing. It's just, yeah, toxicity in those games. It's not fun. Best esports coach. You told people to play game and skip out on eating. Good job. I don't know. It's esports coach. Esport events. Who would have won? Oh, league. Who would have thought? Because it's the biggest thing since sliced bread. Okay, cool. Well, that was that. That was that. That's the esports. There were a lot of really cool trailers, and that's what a lot of people watch the Game Awards for. Let's see if they actually have it in the news tab what they've got. Festivals, partners, Keanu Reeves. No. Nope, 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 nope. Future Class? Is it Future Class? No, I don't know what that is. Would it be in Watch? Probably not. No. Okay, so it's not Watch. But they did come out with a lot of trailers, like for Sonic 2, the movie, which I didn't even think they were gonna do, but actually looked really good. Not gonna lie. But if Hidelo is in the chat here, there is one thing that came out that really just doing to me. And oh yeah, and so they're doing a lot of awesome, cool sales here on some games, some really, really cool games that were appeared and nominated. So like you can get Kenya for 30% off. Yeah, so the Game Awards sales are actually really, really, really cool, really, really stellar. Often they come out to being super, super, super good. Like you can get the Tiny Tina's Assault Dragon Keep sale mode for $7. It was free before, but like even $7 is awesome to play this if you just want to get into Borderlands and feel how that feels. A lot of these are really, really cool indie games. Blasphemous is cool. Riders Republic is good, and some of these sales, like the only reason why they're so low is one, this is a cheap game to begin with, but two, they're still pretty brand new for a lot of these. So, oh, I didn't even think Jet came out. That's unfortunate. It looked interesting-ish. This, yeah. But yeah, so there's some interesting games here. But the things that got me was first things first that got me was, oh, also make sure you guys pay attention because they're gonna give out mystery games Like I think they do the 12 days of Christmas. But this is one of the things that got me, which didn't get me that hard. I'm not too worried about this. But they came out with a release date, and let's see if they actually have it here. Yep, March 25th, 2022. So that's definitely something I'm going to play. I don't think I'm going to stream it, but I might. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to play with my friend. Going to have a ton of fun doing that. I mean, this game just looks ridiculous. It looks like a ton of fun. Some just like silliness that the Borderlands games I feel are its strongest when it's silly. But the thing that really gets me is something that I do want to stream, but it's gonna be hard because of scheduling. This. One, why is it an Epic Games exclusive? Come off it, Epic Games. Why? I hate you. Stop buying my favorite games. But I do have time to play, times to stream. Typically, yes, I do. But the thing that gets me is this is coming out in 6 days. What the heck? What the heck? Dude, come on. Come on. And if I had my normal schedule, yeah, I'd probably push through Control and then do this game and then do God of War. But I won't. It's... Oh, man. They just dropped. It's like, oh yeah, it comes out on the 16th. Go, do it. So it's a little bit of a bummer. I won't be playing it right when it comes out. So, and part of the reason that's a bummer is because I won't be able to get that kind of new viewership for playing whatever's hot and new. But my plan with this is I'm gonna play Control, because Control can probably get me all the way to the end of December or to God of War, and that's the goal. Then I'm gonna play God of War. Then I'm gonna play a Yakuza game, and then I'm probably gonna play Final Fantasy VII-R. We'll see. A new game might pop out here and there. I might want to be doing some streams on Tiny Tina. We'll see. We'll see. But the fact that it just comes out in 6 days kind of gets me. Yeah, it would be Kiwami 1 that I would be playing for the Yakuza games. So yeah. Alright, with that, I'm going to quickly change what we're doing, and we're going to reset. Gonna be back for like 3 minutes, just gonna scarf down some food, and then we're gonna hop right into Control. So let me just do some things, mute myself, and we're gonna be right back.